Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to the return of the FIA seasons in Gran Turismo Sport, of course. So Manufacturers Cup and Nations Cup are back with the final season of 2018. So this is the Nations Cup, free reign of choice over cars. I've gone for the Subaru WRX, so a bit of a different choice. And this is qualifying, this is the end of qualifying. You see there, qualifying 7th as I crossed the line, went up to 6th somehow, and at the end of the session, so after the 10 minutes are up, it says they're qualifying in 6th place, but then you go to this screen and then I'm actually 12th, so I don't know what's going on there. The thing you'll notice is I'm in here with the big boys, lots of SS rated drivers, guys like Nestor Garcia, some big names in here, and quite a lot of points on offer. So a new intro as part of the recent update. Liking it, Pilafini Digital. Really good stuff. Right, here it is then, the beginning of my quest to return to my former glory of SS. This is where it begins. Home territory for me, Brands Hatch in the United Kingdom. Qualified in 12th. Sounds bad, sounds like a bad qualifying position, but this is a tight field. The gap wasn't too far from the front to the back. I'm expecting a very close fought race here, going up the hill into Druids. So we've got a fair few different cars here. There were recent changes to the balance of performance in Group 3 and Group 4. So lots of the cars are slightly different than they were before. So looking up the inside of the Spaniard, who's got himself in quite a bad position there. Bit of contact, not the nicest move you've ever seen. Up into 11th position, albeit with a bit of contact on the way through. We've just about got it done. Right then, you can see just how close the field is here. I know it is only lap 1, but normally in any worse races, about 10 of the people would have gone off by now, and the field spread would have been a lot larger. But here, it seems like everyone was very, very well matched, and qualifying proved that. Qualifying showed exactly how close it was. You can see they're getting a 1 second penalty. The track limits have changed for this season, and they are a lot stricter than before. So there is going to be a good chance of me getting quite a few penalties this time around. I'm going to have to adapt as I go around. I did do a practice run of this race, but I didn't quite learn all of the track limits. So it can be very, very easy when you're really trying to maximise your time to just dip 2 wheels beyond the line or beyond the limit, get yourself awarded a nice penalty. So as we go along here, we're going to have to really try and be careful to not go 4 wheels beyond the white line. So then you see just how close it is up ahead. Plenty of Lancers on offer, plenty of Lancers being chosen for this race. I think one other person is using Subaru, as the Frenchman ahead just gets a slap of oversteer on the exit of Graham Hill Bend and concedes the position to the German in the Beetle. So there we go, onto the back straight through Pilgrim's Drop and Hawthorne Hill. And as per usual in Gran Turismo Sport, always trying to save fuel. These races, this race would be going on for at least half an hour, or around about half an hour, and there is certainly a fuel saving element to it, trying to save as much time in the pit stop as we can. So this kind of stage here, you've got that decision to make. Do I really push a lot to try and make up positions, or do I kind of just sit back, save fuel? Sometimes that's the easy option. Getting myself another penalty, not good at all, as I was slightly distracted from the guy ahead. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky to see the limit of the circuit when you've got people, so many people immediately ahead of you. You can see still how close the pack is. So really good racing here, and it's tense because you make one mistake and you're going to drop back a couple of positions. If you get yourself out of line, then that can be very bad for you. So through Paddock Hill Bend for the 3rd time, 18 laps in total, so even number. We're looking for probably 9 laps on our first stint and then 9 on the second stint as well. So I'd imagine most people will go for that strategy. So Evo getting good traction off that corner, pulling away slightly from me into this one, going deep and then coming back for a later apex, so you can sort of straighten out on the exit. You can see they're getting on the power nicely. So a little bit later into the race, it's kind of a stalemate, this one, to begin with. So we've just skipped 3 laps and the positions are pretty much the same. So I'm still sitting here in 11th. 9th and 8th both have penalties, as do I suppose. And a bit of a mistake here, a bit of complacency setting in. You see the gap between myself and the guy ahead getting a bit bigger, and then Frisky here is just going to take advantage of my lapse in concentration and go ahead up into 11th. So still in 12th. This is where I started, so you know it's not a complete disaster, and there's still quite a lot of points on offer, even if I can finish around about this position or a little bit higher. So immediately on the attack once again, just trying to get back in front of Frisky if we can. So you've always got, again, you've got a decision to make. I suppose racing is about making a lot of decisions on the fly. You know, do I want to fight this guy too much, or shall I sort of back off a little bit, give him some space, give him some comfort, and then we can go about lapping a bit faster together. Sometimes if you're right on someone's tail, they kind of get distracted. They start driving slowly, and then you're only making it worse for yourself because you're kind of stuck behind them. So sometimes it's best to kind of give them a bit of a buffer, unless you're going to really go for a move very quickly and you want to put them under pressure. So at this point here, not really wanting to lose too much time. You see the field spread is a bit bigger as the Mitsubishi ahead, the Frenchman, just makes that first mistake. He's the first one to blink in this race, so it's going to be one of those races, I think, where it's going to be a really close battle, and the people who just slip up that once, it only has to take one error just like that, and you're going to lose so much time, and there's so many positions. So I mean, even if the guy in, let's say, 5th or 6th place made that kind of mistake now, he's going down to about 14th. That's how close the pack is. So winding around here, then onto lap 7, another yellow flag. Let's have a look at what that is through Sheen Curve. Really difficult corners to get by that one. And there is ASM Enzo in the Renault. So he actually qualified 3rd. So obviously he's not having a good time there. So he was running near the front, and now he's running behind me after a succession of mistakes, or I don't know quite what went on with him, but obviously it's not ideal for him. So now he'll find himself stuck behind me. So now I've got a very fast driver on my tail, the third plate, the guy who qualified 3rd essentially. So he's definitely got pace as we then go up into the hill, into Druids Bend. So this is lap 8. So we're going to be looking at going into the pits at the end of the next lap. Now the thing you'll notice at the end of the stints, you see it at the bottom left of the screen, my front left tyre is absolutely shredded at this point. I've gone rear brake bias to kind of negate that as much as possible, but it doesn't always work basically. Or it lessens the tyre wear, but you can't get rid of it completely. So I'm going to struggle with understeer for these last couple of laps in this stint. But then again, people with rear wheel drive, they're going to struggle with rear traction. As the guy behind, you see, I don't know if you just quite spotted that, he actually made a big error. He spun out, so I think he's definitely mistake prone, that guy, with his second big mistake there. So, well, as long as his first one was actually a mistake, he might have got punted off, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, up into 10th still, with a bit of a bigger buffer behind now, which is always nice and calming. So winding around the final corner onto the main straight, the gap from 8th to 7th has significantly opened up, and through the Stirling's Bend, and we are very, very close now to coming to the pit lane. You can see on the left hand side a couple of guys going in, so in fact most people going in on the 9th lap. This is a good opportunity to serve the penalty, so just slowing right down on the pit entry and then serving all 3 seconds, so we got rid of that. That's good news. So into the pit lane we go. We didn't quite use all of the fuel. It seems like the WRX is okay, and we did start fuel saving throughout that stint. So leaving the pit lane, 77% of fuel. Yeah, that's about right. We used about the same on the first stint. So away we go, up into 9th. Now it's not always representative because some people opt to pit a bit later or a bit earlier, so that could still change at this point. But 9th place is good. We were 10th just before the stint, or just before the pit stop. So it looks like we've gained a position, and the gap behind is significantly larger. You can see it there. So the guy behind SM Enzo in the Renault, he just made that big mistake a couple of laps ago, and the gap's hovering there around about 2 seconds. The gap ahead also about 2 or 3 seconds. So I'm a bit lonely at this current point in time. But sometimes that's a good thing. So I can kind of just mind my own business and kind of just forget about everyone else and just try to put in some good laps as we go through this section now. This is probably the hardest section to get right without getting a penalty. As you see here, you really do have to maximise it as much as possible. Another guy off, Spaniard this time, on the exit machine curve. So I'm just picking up the positions here just by not really getting myself involved in anything. And that's kind of been a good approach so far. I started 12th, I'm currently in 8th. So far this race has gone very, very well. And I think 8th is a good position given the quality of driver in here. A lot of SS drivers. And the criteria for SS is to finish top 10 in your manufacturer in the Manufacturers' Cup, or finish top 200 in your region in the Nations Cup. So I think it's a lot easier to finish top 200 in the Nations Cup, which is why I'm going to target this championship to try to get my SS rating. But it does show you just how good some of the people are. Top 200 in some regions might not be amazing, but you still have to be a good driver to be able to get that awarded to you, the SS rating. Just ahead, you can see the Spaniard in 7th. That is Nestor Garcia, who was the pole sitter, the guy with the current fastest lap of the race, and probably the fastest guy in the race, albeit except for this mistake he's just made, and has found himself now down in 7th. So my main hope here is that he can start fighting with the guy ahead, who I can't quite seem to keep up with. It's the German in the Beetle, and you can see a lap later he's still right on his tail, just can't quite find a way past. And I mean, that's true in a lot of motorsport. If you just drive well and stick to your line, someone who's faster than you won't necessarily be able to get through easily. So that German doing a good job there, just to sort of hold his position, not make too many mistakes. And I think it's up to me to kind of do the same with respect to the Frenchman, who's slowly approaching from behind. So coming through Paddock Hill Bend for the 14th time, we're just going to get sucked off into the gravel, and it's going to pull us round into the tyre wall. And I've lost about 5 years of my life here trying to get myself reversed out of the wall, or an invisible wall, and the car simply won't accelerate up the hill. I've got engine damage, and the transmission won't engage, and I can't pull away until I'm down in 18th position. Oh my god. At this point here, I was seriously considering punching the screen and just dealing with the consequence later. That was a truly frustrating moment to lose 10 positions, and I was in a good position. I was in 8th, and well, this is gaming for you. It doesn't always go well, and well, this is a couple of laps later. I was very angry. I was very, very annoyed. Going through Sheen Curve, hit the apex nicely, just tapped the grass, and I couldn't control the car, sliding off into the gravel. This is what happens, kids, when you get angry. You make loads of mistakes and you drive like an absolute idiot. So the key, and I get a penalty just for good measure. So the key really is keep a cool head, be consistent, don't make mistakes, and you'll get good results. And I think now that I'm here with the big boys, it's going to have to be like that. I'm not going to get gifted any race wins anymore. I really do need to step it up in terms of just overall pace and just consistency, making no mistakes. But this is the end of the race. I'm going to finish 18th, a long way back compared to where I should have finished, where I really should have finished. And you can see the results here, I'm not even on the front screen. And really, I should have finished 8th. There's a big 10-second gap between 7th and 8th, and I would have been in that sort of area there. So 8th position thrown away because of a very silly error. Just got sucked off at Brands Hatch. So there's your lesson for you guys. Just be very, very careful when you're racing. You see 55 seconds off the lead. My lap time wasn't too bad. It was only about half a second off the lead. And a lot of the top guys were lapping in the mid 124s as their fastest lap, and so was I. This guy summed it up very, very well with the smiley face, just to really remind me of that poor performance. Well, it was a good performance apart from just one mistake, but it cost me so much. But there we go, there's my first round performance, not very good at all. We're going to try to correct that next time around. But I do hope you enjoyed the video as always, guys. Hit the like button if you did, subscribe for more, and I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching, goodbye.
Listen.